The Intermediate Lifecycle Courses. Continual Service Improvement. Lesson 9. Metrics and Measurement. Welcome to Lesson 9. This is a brief lesson covering some further topics related to the metrics that underpin continual service improvement. We'll look at the types of metric, how many critical success factors and key performance indicators, tension metrics, goals and metrics, and organizational metrics. The information in this lesson relates to the syllabus section CSI 04. Remember, it's strongly recommended that you carry out further reading in the Continual Service Improvement Core volume as part of your exam preparation. You can use the syllabus document to identify the appropriate areas for self-study. There are three main types of metrics that support continual service improvement activities and need to be collected in every organization. These are technology metrics, often associated with component and application-based metrics such as performance, availability, and so on. Process metrics, often captured in the form of critical success factors and key performance indicators, which can help determine the overall health of a process. These will break down into quality, performance, value, and compliance. And service metrics, the results of the end-to-end service. Component metrics are used to generate the service metrics. A metric is a scale of measurement defined in terms of a standard or well-defined unit. Metrics are a system of parameters or ways of quantitative assessment of a process that is to be measured. Metrics also include the processes to carry out such measurement. For example, our incident management metrics will include the parameters we want to measure, such as the number of incidents resolved, as well as how and when the reports are collected from the incident management tool. Metrics define what is to be measured. Metrics are often specialized by their subject area. This will mean that they are valid only within a certain domain and cannot be directly benchmarked or interpreted outside it. Generic metrics, however, can be aggregated across subject areas or business units. Generic metrics could include areas such as customer satisfaction, which can be compared across domains. Metrics are used in business models such as the Capability Maturity Matrix we studied in Lesson 5. They also support processes such as knowledge management. Metrics are used to track trends, productivity, resources, and more. Many metrics are defined as key performance indicators because of their importance to the business. One question that many organizations struggle with is how many critical success factors and key performance indicators to put in place. We're going to study this in detail now and provide some guidance that can be tailored for your organization. Let's remind ourselves of the definitions first. A critical success factor is something that must happen if a process, project, plan, or IT service is to succeed. Key performance indicators are used to measure the achievement of each critical success factor. Critical success factors for continual service improvement could include the appointment of a continual service improvement manager, without whom we cannot progress effectively. Or the adoption of continual service improvement within the organization, again, a fundamental early step in adopting an improvement culture. We'll study critical success factors for continual service improvement in detail in Lesson 15. In summary, critical success factors should help us to define what success looks like. Key performance indicators, also known as KPIs or key success indicators, help an organization define and measure progress toward organizational goals. Once an organization has analyzed its mission, identified all its stakeholders, and defined its goals, it needs a way to measure progress toward these goals. Key performance indicators are those measurements. Key performance indicators are quantifiable measurements agreed beforehand that reflect the critical success factors of an organization. When implementing an improvement process within an organization, the critical success factors might relate to cost savings or efficiencies in process performance. Key performance indicators can be qualitative or quantitative. Qualitative measures are related to or expressed in terms of quality. Qualitative research is based on individual, often subjective analysis. Customer satisfaction is an example of a qualitative measure. Quantitative measures are based on quantities or numbers. This means they can be more objective, such as numbers of incidents, first-time fix rate, and so on. We need a balance of quantitative and qualitative measures to get a holistic view of a service. Once critical success factors and key performance indicators are defined, we can start to define the measurements and metrics that support them. Let's work through some examples. Let's look at some examples of critical success factors and key performance indicators. If the critical success factor is improving IT service quality, a key performance indicator may be a 10% increase in customer satisfaction rating for handling incidents over the next 6 months. To measure this key performance indicator, we need a number of metrics, possibly including original customer satisfaction score, new customer satisfaction score. These could be delivered through measurements such as incident handling survey score and number of survey scores. Okay, here's another example. Our critical success factor is to reduce IT costs, a quantitative rather than qualitative critical success factor. A related key performance indicator could be a 10% reduction in the cost of handling printer incidents. We've got the measurements and metrics coming up on the next screen. Metrics required could be original cost of handling printer incidents, cost of the improvement effort, final cost of handling printer incidents. Measurements could include time spent on incidents by first and second line staff and their average salary, time spent on problem management by staff and their average salary, time spent training first-line support on workarounds, and cost of a service call to a third-party vendor, and time and material from the vendor. What else would you measure? So how many critical success factors and key performance indicators should we have? The opinions on this are varied. Some recommend that no more than 6 to 8 critical success factors and 2 to 3 key performance indicators per critical success factor are defined at any given time. This is to ensure we do not put too much effort into reporting and only focus on what is important. It is recommended that in the early stages of an improvement program, only 2 to 3 key performance indicators for each critical success factor are defined, monitored, and reported on. As the maturity of a service and service management processes increase, additional key performance indicators can be added. Based on what is important to the business and IT management, the key performance indicators may change over time. As an example, increasing first contact resolution is a common key performance indicator for incident management. This is a good key performance indicator, but when you implement problem management, this should change. One of problem management's objectives is to reduce the number of recurring incidents. When these types of recurring incidents are reduced, this will reduce the number of first contact resolutions. In this case, a reduction in the first contact resolution is a positive trend. Okay, let's look at another type of metric: tension metrics. Support teams have to constantly balance the 3 areas shown here: resources, such as people and money; features, the product or service and its quality; and the schedule. The product or service a team can deliver is the result of trade-offs between these 3 elements. Tension metrics can help create balance by preventing teams from focusing on just one element. For example, if the business is focused on delivery to schedule, a manager may flex the resources and service features in order to meet the defined delivery schedule. This unbalanced focus will lead to budget increases or lower product quality, or both. Tension metrics help to create a balance between shared goals and help to deliver a product or service according to the business requirements, within time and budget. Tension metrics can be seen as a tool to create shared responsibilities between team members with different roles in the service lifecycle. They will prevent one team taking a shortcut or dodging a task, which will have consequences elsewhere in the lifecycle. Let's move on now and look at goals and metrics. Each phase of the service lifecycle requires very specific contributions from the key roles within service design, service transition, and service operation. Each of these individual elements has its own specific goals to meet. Goals are set for each lifecycle phase and must then be reflected within the goals and objectives set for each individual role. For example, service transition needs to manage changes to support business requirements. To fulfill this, service transition staff need goals and objectives related to how they manage changes. The quality of the overall service will be determined by how well each role meets its goals and how well conflicting goals are managed. To support effective management, it is crucial that organizations measure performance by applying a set of metrics to each goal. Many IT organizations have developed a set of abstract, high-level measures over time. Personal objectives, such as adding value or following certain methodologies, do not help to support the service lifecycle. We need more detailed measures that are aligned to the lifecycle and business drivers. The way to resolve this issue is to use what we already have. When a service is designed, business requirements are translated into service-level requirements. This is, in effect, translating business needs into IT terminology. These requirements can be used to define how our processes and staff should be measured, ensuring all our measures are fully aligned to business goals. In order to achieve alignment between IT and business goals, it is necessary to break down goals and metrics. Goals and metrics can be classified into three categories. Financial metrics, such as expenses and total percentage of hours spent on projects or maintenance. Learning and growth metrics, such as the percentage of education pursued in a target skill area, certification in a professional area, and contribution to knowledge management. And organizational and process effectiveness metrics, which are broken down into product and process quality metrics. You'll find a table in the study guide for this lesson that shows some examples of service quality metrics. As we mentioned on the previous screen, organizational or process effectiveness metrics can be further broken down into product quality metrics and process quality metrics. Product quality metrics are metrics supporting the contribution to the delivery of quality products. Process quality metrics are the quality metrics related to efficient and effective process management. Lastly, in this lesson, let's consider organizational metrics. To be effective, measurements and metrics should be woven through the complete organization, touching the strategic as well as the tactical level. Metrics should be able to be linked back to an organization's objectives and values. To successfully support the key business drivers, the IT service manager needs to know what and how well each part of the organization contributes to the final success. It's important when defining measurements for goals that support the IT services strategy to remember that measurements must focus on results and not on efforts. Focus on the organizational output and try to get clear what the contribution is. Each stage in the service lifecycle has its own processes and contribution to the overall service. Each stage of the lifecycle also has its roles, which contribute to the development or management of the service. Based on the process goals and the quality attributes of the service, goals and metrics can be defined for each role in the processes of the lifecycle. You've completed Lesson 9, Metrics and Measurement. We've covered a number of areas, including the types of metric, how many CSFs and CPIs, tension metrics, goals and metrics, and organizational metrics. Coming up in Lesson 10, we'll study two areas: return on investment and the business case.